Welcome to the Feminine Truth Podcast with Mary Miranda, a place where you can reconnect with your wild, cyclical, and fierce truth. I am Mary Miranda, a mentor, coach, healer, and intuitive. I guide women on a journey of remembrance, reconnection, and embodiment of who they are, their essence, power, and truth by reawakening the power of their feminine energy, womb, and menstrual cycles. Join me each week to indulge in raw, unedited, and unfiltered topics to help women own and step into their divine feminine truth and become unshakable, unapologetic, and bold in who they truly are. Let's jump into today's conversation. Hello, lovely ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Feminine Truth Podcast with myself, Mary Miranda. This is going to be a solo episode where I tell you a little bit about my story. And I have so many stories that have helped me be who I am today. But this is going to be specifically around the womb health, menstrual cycles, and a few other things you're gonna get to know more of. And like I said, these podcasts are going to be unedited, raw, unfiltered. So if I make mistakes or anything, this is going to be also to show you that it's okay. We can make mistakes. We have to roll with the punches. We have to laugh about it. We have to just move along and just learn from them, and maybe the podcasts are going to keep getting better and better the more practice I get. But I don't want a highly structured podcast. I want a podcast that is very free flowing, that is just like a beautiful conversations that you're just having with a girlfriend, having tea or a beautiful dinner with wine, and you're just talking about topics. I want it to be like that. And obviously, when you're sitting down with a girlfriend drinking tea, a latte, or wine, you are not editing yourself. You are not going back and editing what you said. You just kind of move along and just have this free-flowing conversation. This is why I wanted this podcast to be like that. So if there's any weird noises, anything, if I'm drinking water, if I'm coughing, it's going to be all part of the conversation. So we are here to be perfectly imperfect, as you know. So like I said, my name is Mary Miranda, and I'm going to tell you my story, a little bit who I am, where I come from, and just a little nuggets of wisdom from me. I am the daughter of Maria Felix, and granddaughter of Margarita and Carmen. I am mestiza. I am Mexican, which mestiza means that I am half indigenous from the Aztec lineage and half European from the colonizers. So that's called a mestiza, mixed pretty much. So, but I identify myself as a Mexican because that's where I grew up until I was 14, and then I came here to the United States. I am a wild, cyclical woman, and as such, I don't really like going with titles of the work that I do or anything, but I'm a healer, I am a mentor, I am a coach, I'm an intuitive guide for women. I am very clairsentient, which means clear feeling or feeling energy, and I'm claircognizant, which is a clear knowing. I usually know things, and a lot of my intuition comes in the form of energy and in my dreams. Or the messages that I get, but I can feel things before they happen. Like I know things. Like it's like as a highly sensitive person, as an empath. If I feel a shift in someone or the energy, I can read the energy very well. But it's also part of the story that I have lived that have made me like that, very sensory, sensible, I guess you could say. I am an empathic, I'm an old soul. I am a menstrual cycle lover, which I have menstrual cycle reverence, which you're going to get to learn more about that later on. I am a sacral generator, a 3-5 profile in human design. I am an Enneagram 4 with a wing on 3. I grew up in a town that was small outside of Celaya, Guanajuato, that it was 99% Roman Catholic. I went to a private school, elementary school, and then I came to the United States in the middle of 8th grade when I was 14. I didn't speak the language or anything. I have gone through so much, from cultural clash, cultural assimilation has been really tough, bullying, racism, not speaking the language, my own people bullying me, which was really hard because I came from a very close group of friends in Mexico, and coming here, it was like high school was very traumatic for me. I lost myself and identity, and feeling like I wasn't, it got to the point that I felt like I wasn't from Mexico or here. It was like this huge dissociation that happened to me. And I also have experienced like toxic relationships, toxic dynamics, and many health issues, which brought me here today. And I am the version of me due to everything that I have been through. And I did go through the phase of it's not fair, why me? I don't deserve this, I'm a good person, da da da. Like just complaining, just being in my toxic traits and behaviors because I was so asleep. I had no idea. And it took a relationship that was very toxic at the time. I would have labeled that as emotionally emotionally abusive in a way. And I would have labeled that as like my biggest awakening because it happened around my Saturn return, which was around the age of 30. And I left the relationship, and I was like at rock bottom. And from then I said, you know what? I am so tired. Enough. I am not here for this. Like it's done. It's over with. And then I started my journey. And now I'm at this place of, I know why everything has happened for me, for my greatest good, for my growth, for my evolution. And I know this is part of my path. There's a reason why we go through things. And at the time that we're going through the situation or whatever the struggle, we don't see it that way, right? Because we are so emotionally distraught, or we're so emotionally compromised that we cannot see the blessing in disguise or the silver lining, but there's always one. And that happened to me. And that was my awakening, leaving that relationship. And from there, it's just been a lot of growth and evolution, healing. It's been like seeing my patterns, seeing my toxic behavior, seeing how my childhood played out into how I was acting before. And I realized that a relationship is of two people. So I had a lot of toxic traits. Of course, I didn't deserve some things that happened and that I went through. No one does. There was no physical abuse of any sense for sure. But I didn't deserve any of that. And we no one does, right? We all like want love and we want happiness and all of that. But sometimes we are raised in environments or places where there's a lot of programming, conditioning, there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of old paradigms, there's a lot of wounding going on, and you're raised like that and you don't know better, right? So you just do life in survival mode the best way you could. And I had a beautiful childhood. Like I really did. I was playing in the dirt. No cell phones, no technology then in Mexico. So I was just like such a happy child. But at the same time, there were things that caused some type of trauma, like a small T trauma, you could say. There was also big T trauma. There was also some sexual molestation. There was also like bigger things that happened. And the biggest shock for me was coming to the United States, to a different country. And it's just like that. It was just this huge, like shaking my foundation. But everything that's happened has been part of my story, has been part of my path. And I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that we are here, our souls are here to learn a lesson, to grow and evolve what they didn't in the previous life. And I know my soul is here to fulfill some lessons that it hasn't. And maybe this is not even going to be the lifetime it's going to happen, but I'm doing the best I can every day to be mindful and to be aware and to be open to learning new things and evolve. It's always growth and evolution. And it's always like this journey of becoming better every day. So I'm also a generator, like I mentioned, a 3-5 profile, which means that I am here to experience life through trials and errors, go through them by diving myself deep into situations, learn, grow from them, and transform and have this transformation and integration, which is like the embodiment part, and to help others with what I have been through once I have embodied those lessons, right? Because I only can help someone go through something that I have been through. And I have been through so many things, and I have tried so many venues to heal each situation. So I have many experiences and many wisdom that can help you heal a certain situation, right? And if it's not part of my path, then I will refer you to someone that can, because it's part of being an integrity, which is one of my highest values. So today I do this live calling and blessing, and I'm very thankful. I never thought I was going to be here today. I went to school in University of Iowa. I major in health sciences, emphasis in biology. And I've been through so many paths in my career, from being an IT test manager to being a marketing coordinator to being a social media strategist to now owning my business. And it's just been a beautiful path of different things. So I have experience in so many things, so many paths, so many lifetimes, I would say. So it makes me so excited to guide women on this journey of remembrance, reconnection, and embodiment of their essence, truth, power, and who they are at their core, by reawakening the power of their feminine energy, womb, and menstrual cycles. You're gonna learn more about that as we go, but those are my 3 emphases: feminine energy, womb healing or womb health, and menstrual cycles, which are the 3 things that have helped me more reconnect to my true essence, to who I really am underneath all the programming, conditioning, limiting beliefs, stories, old paradigms, like everything that I've been taught. I had to heal all of that. I had to dive deep into who I am so I can find my truth and my power, and so I can really know who I am, because for so many years I did not know who I am, and I was operating and blinded, pretty much, like not knowing. And a big part of healing and being awakened is taking responsibility and ownership of your side of the street, of cleaning, of healing the parts of you that make you, I don't like using the word toxic, but I'm gonna use that because like you'll understand what I'm talking about. But they are creating the reality that you're currently having. And if you're not happy with the reality you're currently experiencing and having, that means that there's something you are doing, and that doing comes from who you are, right? So it's like diving deep into this kind of reverse engineering of, okay, this is the reality, this is the outcome that I'm experiencing. Let's reverse engineer the root cause, right? Why this is happening, where this is coming from. And that's what started happening to me. I started questioning everything, and I realized that the relationships that I had in my past, a lot of life experiences, were a reflection of who I was deep inside. And I did not know this, right? We attract people based on who we are on our inside, and a lot of times they're mirrors for us. And if we take that as medicine and we dive deep into healing that, then there's so much wisdom. It's like each person that we meet is a messenger. Each person that we meet comes here to help us in one way or the other, even if it's so tragic, so painful, which I have experienced, and my heart's with you if you've been through this. But somehow that is meant to help us in one way or the other, by becoming more conscious, by awakening, by putting boundaries, by not settling, by knowing our worth and value, which is something that I had to do. Like deep down, there was this unworthiness, this not enoughness, this undeservingness, this inferiority part of me that I never knew that I carried with me. And more as a woman of color, as an indigenous, as a Mexican, first generation, as a Latina here in the United States, that was like, it's been a process. And I'm not saying, I will never condone anyone who has harmed you or who has done anything bad to you that has really hurt you. It's not about that. It's about seeing, okay, this hurt me so bad. It was horrible, but what is the lesson, or what is the medicine for me here? What do I need to do? And a lot of times those situations transform us deeply. Like, I know so many people who have gone through so much stuff, and they end up, I don't know, being more religious, right? Which is something I'm going to talk about, religion, because I don't consider myself religious anymore at all. I grew up Catholic, but there's a lot of people that end up in these places where they have found forgiveness, and maybe that's what they needed, right? Or maybe they have become life coaches like I did, or maybe they went and wrote a book that changed so many other people's lives, or maybe they went and became even better mothers than they were, or maybe they just became so much better for themselves. Maybe they awakened and they left that relationship, they left that job, or they left that situation, and their life became so much better. Whatever it is, just know that I honor you, I see you, I feel you, I hear you, whatever you've been through. I am sorry that you went through that. And at the same time, okay, well, let's look at it. Is there something good that came out of that? I'm going to talk more about this, but there was like some sexual molestation. There was also a rape happening in my life. And after healing that, obviously it took a lot, but I ended up feeling more empowered to myself and knowing that no one has power over my body, over me, and no one will ever take away my soul and my body, and no one will ever dishonor me like that again. So it's a lot of things, and now I can help guide women through what I have been through because I've done the healing work for it, right? So there's a lot of wisdom on it, and sometimes it takes time to see the blessing. Sometimes it takes months, sometimes it takes years. Just be patient with yourself, honor your journey. But for me, and this is something I'm going to dive more deeper in a separate conversation, but it was like, wow, I went through that situation that was horrible. It was so painful. But now I have this wisdom of how I led myself through that, and I can help someone else through it. If a client comes to me who's had some type of sexual trauma, I can guide her through that at her own pace, but with the knowledge I have, because I guided myself through that. I had to become my best client, and I had to do the work. So it's a blessing when I see it that way, right? But it took a while to get there, and it's fine, right? So this second episode is just basically telling you where I come from and everything, and I'm going to be talking about separately on my first menstrual cycle, which is something that it's really, really powerful, because that can shape a girl's life forever. And a lot of times we don't have that rite of passage. We have been stolen from that rite of passage, but it's not our fault. It's not our mother's fault. Is that those rite of passages were stripped away from us way, it's been like years. So I just kind of wanted to talk to you more a little bit about my background and everything that I've been through. But basically, my whole journey has led me here, has led me to do the work that I'm doing today. And I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful for it. A lot of people have said, do you regret this? Do you regret that? And part of me does, but part of me is like, well, but if I regret that, then I wouldn't have gone through that, and I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I wouldn't be helping women through that, and I wouldn't be helping the collective heal through that. So I kind of cannot regret that when I think about it consciously that way, when I see it that way, right? So that is my story, a part of my story. And I have different parts of my story, but I also, when I left our relationship, I got into fitness. Fitness was my outlet. I had no idea how to do any of it. So I started diving into it. I started working out. I was so not confident. My self-esteem was like so low. And I had always desired to have a six pack from the time I was like 16. I was like, when I'm 18, I'm going to have a six pack. Turn 18, no six pack. When I'm 21, I'm going to have a six pack. And I kept going like that for like a decade. And when I left the relationship, I made a promise to myself that one night, and it was one morning. I went to bed crying. I was so heartbroken, and I woke up the next day and I said, enough. I am enough of this. I'm not meant for this. Like, there's no way this is how I'm going to live my life every day. And I got up. I started eating healthy, what I thought was a healthy, and I started working out. And I ended up hiring a trainer because I was so self-conscious about like working out in the gym, lifting weights. I had no idea what to do. I had no idea. I didn't want people making fun of me. I had this huge fear of humiliation because that's happened to me. So I hired my first trainer, and then I ended up being so in love with it. And she had competed in fitness, bikini fitness. And I was like, I want to do that. And that was the first time I did something for myself that I showed myself I could accomplish everything. More than getting a degree in college, I could lead myself through something that was so tough, which is a fitness competition. It was a 16-week preparation, and a lot of people quit because it's really hard. It's a mental game. Fitness competitions is a mental game because it's a lot of it's a lot of self-control, discipline, commitment, showing up for yourself. It's a lot of following a plan, following a structure. It's very structured, but it's also very lonely. So there's a lot of pros and cons with it. But for me, it helped me trust myself. It helped me believe in myself, in my word. It helped me get to know me. This is the way I started reconnecting with me and my body, because I had no idea what I felt or anything. I would eat and I wouldn't even care about anything. So when I started this journey of remembrance and reconnection and embodiment, it was through fitness, because I started eating healthier and I started noticing my energy. My energy levels were amazing. I started noticing that I was not bloated. I started noticing when I was hungry, when I wasn't. I started noticing whenever I would do lifting weights, the muscle contractions. I started feeling my body for the first time. And I'd never ever felt my body like that. I'm how did I eat before and didn't even notice I get bloated or I would get sleepy? Well, obviously I would fall asleep, but I was not conscious. So this is the first time I started awakening my body, awakening this connection with my body, this deep intimacy with me. And I didn't even know about it, right? Now I look at it, I was like, oh my God, it started way back in 2012. So it was an amazing journey. I competed the day I was on stage. I was so proud of myself. I did it. I went through something that not a lot of people go through because it's really tough. But at the same time, it's got some cons because I ended up with some health issues. I ended up with some gut health issues, food sensitivities from eating the same foods every day. And I said, you know what? This was amazing. This was a beautiful experience, but I would not do it again because I will not put my body through that intense structure and just it was just so rigid. It was so structured. It was just very masculine paradigm, and it was a lot of it's not healthy just because a lot of women lose their menstrual cycles, and I didn't lose mine. Thankfully, the day that I competed, I actually got my menstrual cycle, so I was up there competing with my menstrual cycle. Yeah, it happened, and it was amazing. I had such a great time. I loved it. And I'm still into fitness, but today the way I train is so different because before it was to achieve a body that I always desired, and I did, and it's off my bucket list. Now I work out from a place of love, connection, honoring me. Some days I wake up, I'm like, do I want to work out? Do I not want to work out? What do I feel like doing? Ooh, what would make me so excited? Like if I'm tired, I rest, right? And it's been amazing. I don't focus on the six pack anymore. I don't focus on that because it's very, very stressful. And our bodies go through so much stress as we're exercising. And also, we exercise differently in each phase of our menstrual cycle. So I work out aligned with my menstrual cycle. So it's like workout cycling, you can call it somehow. And it's just beautiful now because I go slower when I'm in my luteal phase. I go more intense when I'm in my follicular phase or ovulation phase. So I have to be very conscious of that. And I'm a cyclical woman, like I mentioned. And this is something that we're going to dive more deeper on how to align our lives, ourselves, our workouts, everything with our menstrual cycle. And it's going to be so life-changing because you work with honoring you, with respecting you, with putting yourself first before anything else. And that is the most important thing that we have as women, ourselves. So when we take care of ourselves like that, it's just like, it just helps everyone, not only you, but it helps everyone who comes in contact with you because they rub off your beautiful magnetic energy. So that's been part of my journey. Fitness, it's been beautiful. And with everything that's happened to me, the way that I want to close this episode is by saying that I ended up, hold on, let me drink some water. I ended up after my competition with health issues. And when I ended up that competition, I have left a relationship, and it was very toxic in nature, and it was very unhealthy, and in so many ways, from my part, from his part, because our relationship is of two people, and I am not here to blame, to shame, to put the finger at anyone. I'm here to just speak my truth, speak how toxic relationships of every nature can impact your health, your womb, your menstrual cycle, your mental health. But the way that impacted me is that when in 2006, I actually lost my ovary. I lost my right ovary due to a ruptured cyst. And at the time, I had no knowledge. I had no idea of it. So throughout this whole journey of everything, and from the competition, and from going through this intense relationships, and Saturn return, and my family dynamic in high school, and all of the things that I've been through, I ended up having a tumor in my uterus, which is a fibroid. And I also ended up having cyst in my only ovary that I have, my left one. And that was a very tough time for me to realize that my tumor had grown to 9 centimeters in diameter. So it was very huge. And it had to be such a fast decision that I made the decision to have the surgery just because it was so big. And I didn't know better at this time. I did not know ways that you can shrink the tumor naturally, holistically. And although I am not 100% pro Western medicine, I do see the big benefits of it. And I am going to obviously take part of them if it means to save my health, right? So when I went into the surgery, the surgeon said that I could lose everything, hysterectomy. And at the time, I believe I was like 20, what was it? No, I'm sorry. I was like 36. No, 35, sorry. I was like 35. And I just remember like thinking, oh my gosh, like I don't have any children. Like, oh my God, if I get a hysterectomy, I'm never going to have babies. Like I'm never going to be a mom. And it was really tough for me emotionally. It was really tough for me. So I had to, just trust, and I had to pray, and I had to ask my higher power, God, the universe, if they saved my organs, my uterus and my ovary, that I could have a chance to be a mom. And I would do anything to honor my menstrual cycle. and my uterus. And I'm getting emotional because it's still so beautiful. And yeah, they did. The surgeon saved my ovary and my uterus. And after the surgery ended, I went back for the results and everything, And he said, hey, you also have endometriosis. And it's like just this huge, like somebody just punched me. And I was like, endometriosis is linked to infertility. Like, it was just like this, like, I thought I was like, oh my God, he saved my uterus and my ovary. Now I'm healthy. Like, everything's good. And now it's like, oh, wow. And now he's telling me I have endometriosis. What is going on? So from there, I took responsibility and I took ownership of my health, and I became my own advocate, because the only answers he gave me are go on the pill, get pregnant, or have a hysterectomy. And for me, that was saying no, that's not gonna happen. Or he said induced, which when you get a hysterectomy is induced menopause. And I said, no, I'm only 35. Like, that's not gonna happen. And the only options were get pregnant, so that's your endometriosis and nothing comes back and you can have a healthy baby, or get a hysterectomy and you can get induced menopause, or go on the pill to prevent anything. And my answer, I laughed there and I said, let me sit with this and think about it, because this is a lot. And I sat with it and I said, no, there's no way. Like, something inside of me said, there's a better way. There is a better way for you. Like this, there's a better way, and it's going to be holistic. It's going to be better than you ever thought. And that's when I started diving into womb health, into menstrual cycle awareness, into conscious menstruating, into living as a cyclical woman, into cycle syncing, into reading and learning and studying and learning everything about it. And I started diving myself, and the first thing I was intuitively pulled to do was rituals. I started doing rituals, and I started doing rituals with my menstrual blood. I said, I promise to honor it. I promise to honor my menstrual cycle, my womb, and everything. And I just started doing intuitive rituals, not knowing what I was doing. And I started healing, and my periods improved. And yes, part of my periods improving, well, the first 2 periods after the surgery were extremely painful. I always had excruciating periods, which you're going to hear more about later. But my periods were always excruciating, where I would end up in the ER from the pain. And the 2 periods after the surgery were so painful that I was just so heartbroken. I was like, how is this happening again? Like, why? And after that, I had already been doing the rituals and changing my nutrition more than I've been eating healthy already, but I completely changed it. And I had been doing other things to honor my womb, to reconnect with my feminine energy. So I started really diving deep into my womanhood, into my feminine energy, into everything that has to do with who I am. And I started connecting way deeper with me. And my period pain started dissipating. It started lifting. Like, I had my life back for the first time in months, where the first day of my period, I was not glued to my heating pad. I was not crying out of pain. I was not taking all these pills to calm the pain, where I was able to leave my house. And it was just like so emotional, because for so many years I didn't. I was always kind of like, oh my God, with anxiety, period anxiety, I would call it. Like, not knowing how my period was going to be, not knowing how I was going to tell my boss when I had the job, like my male boss, that I couldn't go to work because I had a period. Like, how was I going to say that? So I always ended up making out lies, because that was not something you talk about to men, right? Now I think differently, obviously, but I had my life back for the first time from what I remember, and it was amazing. And now I'm here helping women have amazing relationships with their menstrual cycles, their wombs, their feminine energy, and healing everything that is stopping them from experiencing those. And it's just been an amazing journey. I'm so thankful. I am so happy to be here. And I'm just here to bring wisdom, medicine, knowledge, not only from me, but from anyone that's going to be coming into the interviews with me. And hopefully we all can heal together. We all can rise, grow, and evolve together. And I'm just so thankful that I'm here today. Would have never known this was going to be my path. I would have never known. And yes, my family is not very supportive of what I'm doing. They're still like kind of like, go back to corporate, job security, stop talking about that, it's from the devil. Like loved ones have like blocked me from Facebook and social media. Like nobody asks about my business. Hold on a second, let me drink some water. And at the same time, it's been kind of like a lonely journey of entrepreneurship, but it's a very rewarding journey because I have learned to be happy in my loneliness and to be okay in my loneliness, and it's great. So another reason why I wanted to do this podcast is so I can network and I can meet other amazing women who have stories to share, who have anything that can help us all. And also from the listeners, if you guys want to message me, if you guys want resonate with anything that I'm saying, just feel free to message on their Feminine Truth podcast. The links are going to be in the show notes. But yeah, let's just open up this for a conversation. Let's just have deeper. If you resonate with everything, if you've been through many things that I have been through, like it's time to get united, to unify, to come together and to have these conversations, because this is going to set up a ripple effect for everyone to heal, especially us as women, especially if you are a woman of color, indigenous, if you are a first generation Latina, Mexican, or from wherever you are, immigrant, it's going to be amazing because these are topics that were not talked about with our families or our friends. And I'm so here and ready to have these conversations. And yeah, so you can expect more of this beautiful conversations, everything to honor who you are, to honor your body, to honor your menstrual cycle, to connect deeper into who you are. And I'm just really, really excited. Like I cannot even stop expressing that because it's been such a part of me to be grateful for everything, be excited. And it's been tough to do that, but you'll learn more about that when we tap into those conversations. But yeah, I just wanted to share part of my story. I wanted to share part of the work that I do, who I am, how I came to do what I'm doing. In the first episode, I explained why the mission of this podcast, the intention, why I created it. This is more so you can get to know me. And there's just like different venues to my story, because I can tell you a story about my fitness. I can tell you a story about my relationship. I can tell you a story about my womb health issues. I can tell you a story of an immigrant. I can tell you a story of how has been my life with at university. Or I can tell you different stories, like of so many different things, or corporate or whatever. I have stories for everything because I have been through so much stuff, just like many of us have. We're humans. We're here to experience humanity in the most human way possible in this 3D world. And it's just been very, very amazing. I cannot even imagine who I would be if I didn't know everything that I know today. Like I just think about who I was when I was like in that relationship, when I was and it's not that relationship, it's that age. Actually, I don't want to keep referencing back to that relationship because I'm very thankful for it now that I see it that way. And he was a great person. He was just not the right person for me at that time. That version of himself was not the right person for me. And I was not the right person for that person either. So it's like it's 50-50, right? Like I said, but when I was in that at 30, 31 years old, it was just like I was so asleep. And I wish someone would have told me about mindset, about awareness, about relationships, about spiritual awakening, about everything that I know today about feminine energy, about how to honor your cycles, about just everything that I know today, like it would have made a world difference. But at the same time, I wouldn't be me without any of those experiences. And I also do wish I would have started my journey in my 20s. But in my 20s, I was immersed in toxic relationships and I was finding my way out. I remember writing a paper my senior year of college about losing my identity, and it was this trauma course. I can't remember the exact name, but I remember the professor, he put a note in my paper. I got an A, and he said, you should write a book one day. And I said, oh my God, like that's a life goal of mine. And it still is. And I was going to write a book 2 years ago, but it would have been the wrong topic. It would have been the wrong topic. And I'm so glad that I didn't, because I learned so much since then that today is like, oh my gosh, like I am so glad I didn't write a book then, because now I know so much stuff that I didn't know then. So now I have accumulated and compounded all these beautiful experiences and healing modalities that I'm just like, wow, I'm blown away. So in the path, there's going to be a book. I am feeling a book birthing out of me. I am feeling so much stuff for this podcast, for my brand, for the women that come into my energy, into my containers. I am feeling so much. Like, I am so ready for the up level. I'm so ready for everything. I'm so ready to help so many women that are struggling, that are having a hard time connecting with their feminine energy, with their wombs, with their menstrual cycles, who they have tried all the Western medicine approaches and nothing has helped improving their menstrual cycles. And a lot of times there's an energetic reason. There's an energetic reason why. And when I went through everything, what I'm closing with is that the reason why, this might be a little controversial, just breathe. Breathe through this. Feel what it feels in your body when this lands with you. Just honor what comes through. If you get triggered, I would love to know your trigger. I would love to know your thoughts. I'm so here for it. And if this resonates with you, let me know. Send me a message. Let me know. The reason why I believe in my soul intuitively, so strongly, energetically, that I ended up with fibroids, with a tumor of 9 centimeters. I ended up losing an ovary. I ended up with endometriosis. I ended up with ovarian cyst. I ended up with health issues, not only in my gut, but also muscular health issues. My muscles used to hurt, not anymore. It's because of unhealed, unprocessed trauma, emotions, everything that was stored in my womb and also in my body. Not healing my pain, my emotional pain, my childhood trauma, things that I went through, my sexual molestation when I was little, my rape when I was older, not healing everything was just stagnated, was just suppressed, was just in my body, was stored in your body, right? Because emotions are energy and motion, so you have to move it out. And I would just suppress it. I would not even allow myself to feel because I didn't know, right? I didn't know that you have to feel your feelings, right? I didn't have any role models. I didn't have anyone that would tell me those things. Otherwise I would have done them, right? And there's a reason why I didn't, because now I learned by going through that I can help people with it. So I highly believe that my endometriosis, my fibroids, my ovarian cyst, and this is my personal opinion, it's an energetic reason. It's because I was disconnected. I was also disconnected from my feminine energy, my feminine truth, my essence, who I am. And I had all this trauma and unprocessed pain and everything just stored. It's like all this gunk. Just think about it, like all this gunk, all this unneeded stuff is storing your body, and there's a point that your body has no outlet. It has no way to evacuate any of that. It has no way to release all of that. So there's this, it's like a pressure cooker, right? It just keeps it keeps getting to the point that it's just going to explode, and your body ends up exploding in health issues. Your body ends up with any type of health issue can be attributed to a suppressed emotion, to something emotional that you haven't healed, some type of trauma, which links to an emotion, which links to a core wound, which links to an emotion. So it's just like this excavating, this diving in to find the root, but also not getting lost in that process, right? Because it's very important that a lot of times we end up losing ourselves in the healing that we end up not living our lives. So it's very important to understand if this resonates with you, sit with it. How does it feel in your body? Are you upset? Are you angry? Are you triggered? Are you want to curse me? Do you want to say, oh my God, this lands with me? Like, oh my God, this is maybe why I'm having all this gut issues. This is why my digestion is not working properly, right? So this is the reason why I'm here. I'm here to bring this information, this knowledge, even if it's very triggering for some people. Because there's an energetic cost, an emotional cost, a suppressed, unhealed cause that needs to be addressed in order for those issues to go away. And this happens a lot. And I'm just going to give you a quick example. If you have yeast infections have to do a lot with anger. If you are a very angry person, angry woman, and if you end up having a lot of yeast infections, a lot of times it could be attributed to that suppressed anger. And a lot of us women, anger is an emotion we have suppressed because it's not ladylike, it's not proper, it's not of nice girls to be angry. You have to be nice, you have to be polite, you cannot yell, you cannot be angry. It's not good. You get punished for being angry. So we have learned, let me drink some water. We have learned to be angry. So not only yeast infections, I'm just giving you a small example, and this is just based on things that I have learned, I have read, and I have experienced with me because I used to have yeast infections. And when I did the work for healing my anger, they just went away. They just went away. And I have done a lot of work in anger because it was suppressed for so many years. And I just learned that anger is such a beautiful feeling and emotion. It's just so beautiful. There's so much power in it if we learn to channel it the right way. But a lot of times we have to heal it. We have to do the work to heal the anger. And you are going to see how your life is just going to open up to so many things. So there's a lot of energetic root causes for or reasons for whatever you are experiencing. And this is just a whole venue. I am not a doctor. I am not here diagnosing you. I'm just sharing information that you have to sit with. You have to do your own research. If you want to come and dive with me into private coaching with this, I have an open container for my one-on-one sacred private mentorship and coaching. So send me a DM in social media if you're interested. But be an advocate. This is what I'm getting at. The way that I can empower you is that you have to be an advocate for your own health. Don't settle with just learning about it from a Western medicine doctor, because I went to so many doctors that would not give me a diagnosis for things that I have learned to heal by doing energy healing and doing my own type of what I coach women through. So find answers. Don't stop until you find the answer of why things keep happening to you. There's a root cause for everything, but at the same time, we don't need to get lost in that and finding that every day that you don't get to experience life. You get to have both. You get to do the healing and also have an amazing, beautiful, happy, joyful life. You get to do both. You get to walk with both. It is okay to it is okay to experience something that is painful, but it's also okay to experience happiness at the same time, and you can have both, because I have done it. Right? So this is just an open conversation. I hope this lands in a good way for you. I hope you tap into this and see how it resonates in your body. If it resonates with you, send me a message. If it doesn't, still send me a message. I want to know your input. I'm huge on honoring your truth, even if it disagrees with my truth, my word, or what I'm saying. I am here for that, because people should honor your truth. Even if we don't agree in the same thing, there's this respect we still need to have for disagreements, right? You can still have an open conversation that is filled with understanding, compassion, and respect, even if it's in disagreement. So I love you. I'm so happy you were part of this conversation and hearing a little bit about my story. And you can kind of tap into where this podcast is going to be about. And there's going to be so many more beautiful topics that are really just going to help all of us like heal at the same time, become better, grow and evolve, and become better women than we already are. Or if you identify as a woman, like, it's just going to help you so much. But I love you. I'm so excited. Please follow us, rate us, give us a review, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook under at Feminine Truth Podcast. Everything will be in the show notes, and I cannot wait to see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation for Feminine Truth Podcast. This podcast is for you, for me, for us, for the Feminine Collective. Thank you so much for spending your time and energy with us. Share on Instagram and Facebook stories what resonated with you. And if you're listening to this, and for anyone to get a hold of this podcast at Feminine Truth Podcast, and if you feel called to, leave us a review. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know how this has felt for you listening to the podcast. And the episodes are going to be every Tuesday, so I cannot wait to see you next time. Sending so much love.